Welcome back to Boom and Bust. We've got our panel with us again for this month, the Honourable Joe Oliver, the Honourable Gary Marr, and Sandra Pupatello, of course. Joe Oliver, I was going to ask Gary Marr to perhaps be the next speaker on the issue of how we're marshalling Canada's natural resources, but he has yielded the floor to you, so you've got the floor. How do you see things going?
Well, I have to say I've rarely heard such a revisionist recounting of history. It's almost as if we were opposed to the development of natural resources when everything.
No, I would never intimate that.
Okay, Joe's going to at least have a couple more minutes here, and then Sandra, you can.
Well, a couple, not more, but it's interesting that. That the current Minister of Finance is now talking about a one project, a one review in a limited time frame, which is precisely the legislation that I introduced when I was the Minister of Natural Resources, in which the government, the subsequent government, eliminated. They claimed we were trying to destroy the regulatory process, and now they want to very belatedly do the very same thing. I'm not going to start reviewing everything except to say that this government has done everything they can to manifest their hostility to oil and gas, and I spent 3.5 years trying to promote it. On to Gary.
Sure. Gary, your thoughts.
Well, I mean, let's talk about oil and gas for a moment. I mean, 12 years ago, we were talking about perhaps 14 or 15 LNG projects, and there was a window in which we could do that. We're getting now one that will come on stream in 2024. That's good. It's one of the biggest ones in the world with the Shell LNG or Canada LNG project off the coast of British Columbia. Meanwhile, over the same period of time in the United States, they started with zero LNG, and now they're the largest LNG exporters in the world. So we've got some catching up to do. Although there are challenges in the United States, they have not been the same challenges that we've had in Canada, where we've actually even had pipelines that were approved under one regulatory environment and then reversed by the current federal government. I don't think that's quite right. But the point on critical minerals, to Joe's point, is that in the federal budget on page 92, there is really a confession on the part of the federal government that the Impact Assessment Act, the regulatory process by which these types of projects are approved, is far too slow. If you were to ask people, what do you think is the average length of time from the time that you submit a permit to do a mining activity till the time it's done, it's about 15 years. So if we started today on say a critical minerals mining application, we actually wouldn't make the window of opportunity to have all electric vehicles, new vehicles by 2035. And so the federal government has said that they want to go to this one project, one review and have sort of a shot clock and saying that you got to have a decision made within a certain period of time. I think this is a step in the right direction. But what it suggests to me is that it's not just critical minerals where this approval process is too slow. It's everything. And if you look in Germany, for example, they said, we want LNG. They were able to approve and build LNG, within 200 days of saying that they wanted it. And, we spend our time, far too much time, debating the business case for it, when in fact it's the business case is already being made by those that are demanding LNG, whether it's Prime Minister Kishida of Japan or the President of South Korea or Chancellor Scholz of Germany, all of whom said, we want this. And so if we want to be part of critical minerals, we better get our act together and be able to find a way of finding the right balance between protecting our environment but still moving forward on economically important projects that are critical to the future of the prosperity of Canada.
The shot clock has militated against Sandra Pupatello. She's going to have to wait till next month. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. It's always a pleasure seeing your faces on my program. It's a great honor to host you. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks to our panel, Joe Oliver, Gary Marr, Sandra Pupatello, for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed it.